Hello, and welcome to this episode of Leadership in Aviation. I really want to address the elephant in the room with this podcast. We got kind of called out, and it's been happening in the news quite a bit about why the big fuss about we need more women in aviation. And it's not about we need someone to open the door and usher us in, and we're demanding that there are an equal number of women and men. Now, while a lot of us who are women and those of us who sat on the FAA Women in Aviation Advisory Board believe that aviation is a great place for both men and women to have careers, and we would love to see more women, there's something bigger at play here that I want to talk about today. And you may have also noticed, in fact, you may have noticed in a bigger way that the shortage of airline pilots has been making the news too. You may have noticed that when you had a flight canceled, and the reason that the airline gave was that crew had timed out or that they didn't have enough crew. We've heard of airlines canceling service to certain cities because there wasn't enough demand to be supported by the crew that they had available. So we're beginning to see the stirrings of a workforce shortage in aviation. And if you're noticing the piece where there aren't enough pilots, you're just scratching the surface, because underneath all of that is an awful lot of support staff as well. Think about what happens when we don't have enough aircraft mechanics. What if we don't have enough baggage handling crew? What if there aren't dispatchers or ticket service agents? We all begin to see degraded customer service. But when you don't have enough maintenance technicians or air traffic controllers or dispatchers, or even meteorologists looking at the weather in certain locations, we begin to have a degradation of not just customer service, but safety. And that's what I want to address today. When we begin looking at how do we have safer airspace and safer operations, we need to make sure that we have enough people doing the job. And when we don't have enough people in the pipeline right now, we should probably ask ourselves, are we casting a wide enough net? Are we getting the word out to a broad range of people that a career in aviation can be really exciting? It can be rewarding, both financially and from a more emotional or intellectual standpoint. It can be challenging and exciting. It can help you see the world and advance democracy, if that's important to you, in the rest of the world. We find that aviation makes the world smaller and opens it up to other people. That's why so many of us are passionate about this industry. So safety is the primary reason that we need to be casting a wider net, inviting people who perhaps have not shown interest in aviation before, that aviation could be a great career field. Second is productivity. Have you noticed that when there are enough people working, everyone seems to get more work done? Yeah, me too. And when we have enough people working in aviation, and those people are all using their unique skills and strengths, we have a very productive workforce. Think about it. It's important, right? The third thing that is really impacted by having a broader and broader range of experience and gender and educational background and even career choice is that we have greater innovation than ever before. And sitting on the cusp of a lot of technological advances in aviation is the best time to have creativity in our innovation. Some of my friends on the Women in Aviation Advisory Board are looking at the national or international airspace that will support drones or unpiloted, at least in aircraft piloted aircraft in the future, looking at the airspace requirements for that, looking at delivering packages with drones rather than on the ground, being able to do this with electric engines instead of those that emit carbons. And so it's really interesting to look at the innovation and the requirements of unbelievable diversity of thought and diversity of experience and pulling all of that together. We're pulling in people from tech and from logistics and from aviation and aerospace and people who are looking at national defense and pulling all of those people together to create a very innovative future for each one of our countries. And I think that it's really important that we broaden our net, widen our net to make sure that we're pulling in people who may have a different point of view and a different perspective than us. I have to confess this. I was a little surprised when I looked at the list of women who were on that Women in Aviation Advisory Board, and I noticed a broad number of educators on there, and also noticed that there were a couple of women who were historians and who were in charge of various departments at their museums. And what fascinated me about that is as we began to gather together and look at the problems facing our industry, having people from airlines and manufacturers and associations and legal representatives from drones and aircrafts and helicopter background, from education and small business and large business and labor unions, is that we were able to come up with a whole lot more than any one of us could have come up with on our own. And cooperating with a common mission in mind was really beneficial and made a very robust report. If you haven't read the report, I would invite you to do that. It's fascinating to see all of the different barriers to women joining and thriving in aviation, and our recommendations for improving things, because we believe that if we improve things for women, we improve things overall in aviation. Again, expanding that workforce pipeline. So here's what you can do on a very micro level. Open your eyes and look around. Is there someone whose point of view you haven't heard? Is there someone who maybe looks or has a different educational background than you that you could make feel included? I know we get so focused on safety and on doing our job and on meeting the deadlines and accomplishing the goals that we forget that we're not just in a machine business, we're in a people business. And sometimes we just need to get outside of ourselves, look around, and make a connection. More important now than ever in this post-pandemic world that we live in. So first, look around and see who else you can involve. Second, look for someone that you could encourage to take the next step, whether that's a niece or nephew or a neighbor, having a discovery flight, attending a Girls in Aviation Day, and yes, that's open to boys too, or someone that you see who's in a potential leadership role in your organization that you could encourage to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm ready for the next risk. Sometimes we just need to spot potential in someone in order for them to take that risk and become the leader that they were meant to be. So look around, look for leadership potential, and then set goals for yourself. What is it that you're going to do this year that's outside of your comfort zone? And then the very next thing to do after identifying what's outside of your comfort zone and setting a goal for that is to begin to take daily or weekly baby steps toward achieving that goal. If you're going to get your pilot's license, sign up for ground school. Begin taking those video lessons, or make it a point to watch videos every week. If you're going to develop as a leader, read leadership books. Those are easy baby steps that you can take toward unlocking your potential. This is what it takes for us to become better leaders in aviation. We look around and include other people. We identify leadership potential in them, and we begin to take baby steps toward our own leadership development. I hope this has inspired you today. I hope that you appreciate my addressing of the elephant in the room. It's not just that we need more women in aviation, it's that we need more people in aviation, and women are great candidates. Would love to hear your thoughts about this. Would really love to hear about your accepting of my challenge to look around, to encourage others, and to hold yourself accountable to developing your leadership potential. You can reach out to me on social media at René Banglesdorf, or follow us at the Aviation Collective on all the socials. And I look forward to seeing you in the future.